What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports. I'm actually you guys with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Los Angeles Rams impact players for the 2019 NFL season. And this is the last video that's going to be capping off the NFC West. So before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and NFL content. And also make sure to hit the bell icon to turn on post notifications so you're always alerted when I upload a new video. So the first player that I have on this list is quarterback Jared Goff. Jared Goff last season, he went to the Pro Bowl, passed for 4,688 passing yards, had 32 touchdowns, threw 12 interceptions, and completed 64.9% of his passes. Now, this year is an interesting year. So, a lot of people, every time the LA Rams sign somebody, everybody always asks, how are they always able to sign these players? How are they always able to have so much cap space or are always able to maneuver the cap space around to sign these marquee players. And the reason why is because they are not paying Jared Goff 28, $30 million a year. So when you're not paying your quarterback that much money and he's on a rookie deal, you can make moves like that. That's why their team is so loaded. But once Jared Goff requests a new contract and it's time to rework his contract and give him an extension, then the LA Rams, they'll be limited and they won't have the opportunity to do that anymore. So Jared Goff this year, I'm expecting similar numbers. He'll probably pass for over 4,000 yards, probably have about the same amount of touchdowns. Interceptions will probably be the same. So I'm just expecting the same out of Jared Goff. Very solid quarterback. And the next person that I have in this list is wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp played in 8 games last season before suffering a season-ending ACL injury. He had 566 receiving yards, 40 receptions, and 6 touchdowns. And when Cooper Kupp comes back, that LA Rams receiving core is going to be very, very good. They're going to have Robert Woods. They're going to have Brandin Cooks. And Cooper Kupp, to me, is Jared Goff's go-to guy. Jared Goff and him actually lived in a house together when Jared Goff was a rookie when he first got drafted. And until he bought a house, he was living with Cooper Kupp under the same roof. In case you guys didn't know that, an interesting story right there. So they have a pretty good connection. And when Cooper Kupp comes back, I'm expecting him to have 1,000 yards. He'll probably have 70 receptions and 8 touchdowns because he's probably going to be targeted the most because that's Jared Goff's go-to guy. Every quarterback or most quarterbacks in the NFL have their go-to guy that they'll throw the ball to no matter what because they have that trust, they had that chemistry with them, and I believe that Cooper Kupp is that guy for Jared Goff. Next up, we have halfback Todd Gurley. Now, Todd Gurley, he's battling the arthritis, the knee issues, and stuff like that. Last season, he was an MVP candidate, had 1,251 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns. He averaged 4.9 yards per carry. He also did things in the receiving game. He had 59 receptions, 580 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. And it's going to remain to be seen how healthy can Todd Gurley stay throughout the season. He was pretty much once we got to the Super Bowl, he wasn't really effective. So it's going to be interesting to see how the LA Rams monitor Todd Gurley. Is this going to affect his carries? And is Darrell Henderson and him going to, split reps and whatnot? Because you want to have your best players healthy until it's time for the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sean McVay and the LA Rams staff monitors Todd Gurley throughout the season and how will this affect the amount of carries that he gets and his workload. So next up on this list, wide receiver Brandin Cooks. Brandin Cooks last season had 1,204 receiving yards, 8 receptions, and 5 touchdowns. And Brandin Cooks, one of the best deep threats in the NFL. He was pretty much Jared Goff's go-to guy. We all know the infamous play that he had in the Super Bowl. Brandin Cooks, man, I don't know if you can consider him a top 10 wide receiver. Some people consider him a top 10 wide receiver, but I say he's on the outside looking into that conversation. A very solid deep threat. Reminds me of Deshaun Jackson a lot. And Brandin Cooks, I'm expecting him to have a very productive season this year. Now with Cooper Kupp coming back, that might affect his targets a little bit, but I still feel he'll probably have over or near the same amount of receptions that he had this year. He'll probably have about 80, which was the same amount of receptions that he had last year. Brandin Cooks, man, solid receiver. A top 15 wide receiver, very good deep threat, and he's going to have a big impact on this LA Rams offense this season. The last offensive player on this list is wide receiver Robert Woods, who is a little bit of the underrated, not talked about a lot on the LA Rams offense. Last season, I didn't even know he had these kind of numbers. He had 1,219 receiving yards, 86 receptions, and caught 6 touchdowns. I didn't even know that he had these numbers, and he's more of a quiet player for the LA Rams offense because of how many good players that they have in that offense. So many stars. You had Jared Goff, you had Todd Gurley, you had Cooper Kupp, you have Brandon Cooks, so it's a lot of stars. So Robert Woods is kind of the underrated of the bunch. Doesn't really receive a lot of attention, but last season his stats were very good. I didn't even know that. And he's going to me, I'm gonna pick him up in my fantasy football league because I think he's a very good player, very good wide receiver. And although last season was pretty much his breakout year, I don't think he's going to be able to replicate those numbers with Cooper Kupp coming back, but I think he still puts up very solid numbers. And the next player that I have on this list is the best player on the defense side of the football, maybe the best player in the NFL, Aaron Donald. Now, Aaron Donald, this guy is a monster. He had 59 tackles, 20 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. And anytime you're able to have 20 sacks at that defensive tackle position, you're doing something right. And to me, Aaron Donald is the best player in all of football. I know people are going to be like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, but to me, Aaron Donald is better than those two guys. When we're just talking about football players in general, I mean, this guy, it's hard for defensive tackles nowadays to get even 10 sacks. Now you're talking about a defensive tackle who has 20 sacks. That is extremely hard to do. And 20 sacks, he had more sacks than the Oakland Raiders all by himself. The Oakland Raiders only had 13 sacks. He had 20. So I mean, this guy is an absolute beast. He's the best player in the NFL to me, and I have him on this list. Next up, we have linebacker Dante Fowler, who they acquired in the trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he had 21 tackles and 4 sacks. Not very impressive numbers, but I have him on this list because I think those numbers are going to increase. I think he'll be a 7.5, 8 sack guy, maybe 9 sacks, maybe. But Dante Fowler, he's going to have a big impact on this LA Rams pass rushing unit, which is pretty solid for the most part. And him and Aaron Donald, man, I think that's going to be a pretty good pass rushing tandem next season because I believe Dante Fowler is a very good pass rusher. He's very solid, and I think he'll put up 8, 7.5 sacks this year. I'll be shocked if he gets 9, but I can see him having 8 sacks this year. Think he's going to have a big impact because this was a guy who came in and had to, step up. He came in, didn't really know the playbook like that, didn't know the defense like that. Now, before offseason under his belt, now he's going to know the playbook better. He's going to have a better grasp on it, and he's going to be able to get more snaps. And that's why I'm going to have him at 8 sacks, maybe 9 sacks this season because he's going to have more opportunities and he's going to be on the field much, much more than what he was in 2018. Next up, we have cornerback Marcus Peters. Now, Marcus Peters had 43 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 8 pass deflections. He did not have a good season last year. He struggled a lot, especially when AQIB TALIB missed a couple of games. Marcus Peters was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, had a phenomenal rookie season, a phenomenal second year at Kansas City. They traded him away. And then with the LA Rams, I don't know if it was just, him having to adjust to a new team or whatnot, but a lot of people had high expectations for Marcus Peters, and he did not live up to those. Struggled a lot last season. This season, I believe he will have a bounce back year. Because last season, I just don't know what happened. He was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, very quickly became a top 10 cornerback in the NFL, and then he just fell off this season, went into a little slump. So this year, I expected Marcus Peters to have a bounce back season for the LA Rams this year. And he's going to have to because this division, with Jimmy Garoppolo coming back, you have Russell Wilson now. Although he's not going to have Doug Baldwin, you have the Arizona Cardinals in that air raid offense. So he's going to have to step up, man, because that division is going to be very, very competitive than what it was last season. And when we talk about the passing attacks in that division, there's something scary. And we already know that air raid offense, they're going to test them a lot. So Expecting a bounce back year out of Marcus Peters. Now, next up, we have AQIB Talib. AQIB Talib was very solid last year. He had 23 tackles, 1 interception, and 5 pass deflections. Very, very solid last year. And I'm expecting him to have a very solid year this year. Despite him being up there in ages in his 30s, I still think he's one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. He's a solid starter. And he's probably the best cornerback on this team since Marcus Peters didn't, have that good of a season last year. So AQIB Talib, expecting a big season out of him. He's a pretty solid cornerback in the NFL. He's not elite like what he used to be, but he's a pretty solid cornerback. Top 15, top 20 corner in the NFL, which is pretty good. And I think he's going to have a great season for the LA Rams in 2019. The last player that I have on this list is safety Eric Weddle. Now, Eric Weddle got released by the Baltimore Ravens. And it was a surprise because according to Pro Football Focus, he had a very phenomenal season. Think he was graded out to be the 15th or 10th best safety in the NFL, which is pretty good. Went to the Pro Bowl last year, had 68 tackles, 3 pass deflections, and although he's up there in age, he's a pretty good safety, which is very outstanding for his age. He keeps himself in very peak condition, very good shape, and he's a very good tackler, very good in coverage. One of the best safeties in the NFL for over the last decade or since I've been watching football. So Eric Weddle, he's going to have a big impact because he is going to be replacing LaMarcus Joyner, I think. I don't have the depth chart in front of me right now, but I think he's going to be replacing LaMarcus Joyner, if I'm not mistaken, because they lost him. He went to Oakland. So he's going to have a big role of this LA Chargers defense. And hopefully, I believe he'll live up to that. And I don't know if he'll be a Pro Bowler this year, but I still think he's going to have a pretty good season. And that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below about this list. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos. And thanks for watching.